Good morning, Highlands. So we're in our second to last prayer or sermon about prayer in the New Testament, and today we're focused on Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And ultimately, it's a text about praying in the midst of suffering. Jesus goes to the garden. It's fascinating. I love this garden theme that appears throughout Scripture. In the beginning, Adam and Eve are in the garden. They're tempted, and they give in to temptation. And so we have humanity sinning, and then that affects all of humanity. And then Jesus goes into the garden. He's tempted. He does not give in. He submits to God's will. And because of that, he then opens the way back into the garden for all of us to rejoin with God, where we won't be tempted in the end. That's the promise of Scripture. But in the midst of it, Jesus, to see what it's like to open that door, he gets a glimpse of the suffering that he's going to face, and he goes and he prays. His soul is sorrowful. He's distressed. And he prays to God to find another way. And so that's the hope for us is how do we have a prayer life with God where in the midst of our suffering, when we don't feel like we have the strength to go on, are we willing, are we able to be direct with God and tell God that we don't have the strength to carry on, to bring all of our suffering and to put it before God. And so may we be strong enough to be utterly dependent on God, to reveal our weakness and our struggles and our thirst for God in the midst of suffering, but also be confident enough to where at the end of our prayer we can say, "Thy will be done," because we trust in the ultimate plan of God and the path forward that God has prepared. Can we balance those things to be completely honest with God and still be humble, where we'll submit to God's ultimate will?